you will notice that the difference between the way that we do algebra in Calculus 1 and from the way that we do algebra, let's say, in high school, is that we care about the actual operations, not so much if we're working with numbers or symbols. So one thing that students find a little bit tough is how to solve for a variable, because you're really not looking for a number, you're just trying to isolate the variable that you're working with. In this case, take this example. It's x times y minus y squared equals xy squared minus 3x sine y, and we want to solve for x. This is not a question of x equals 5 or x equals 3. What we're going to try to do here is have x on the left-hand side and a complicated function that contains y's on the right-hand side. So how do we do that? Well, every term that contains x needs to be kept on the first part, and every term that doesn't contain x goes to this second part. So this xy remains where it is. This xy squared needs to come to the first part, so it's going to be minus xy squared. Remember, when we're jumping over the equality sign, we need to change the signs. And then this is considered one term on its own, right? A big multiplication determines one term. So 3 times x times sine y with a minus in front is going to move to the first part and become plus 3x sine y. Right? Now this minus y squared doesn't have an x attached to it, so we're going to move it to the right-hand side. Again, we jump the equality sign. Therefore, we're going to change it from minus y squared to plus y squared. All right, so as a first step, you move all the terms that contain an x on the first side, taking care of the signs when you change sides. Then what you do is you take x as a common factor from all these. As you can see, x is in here, here, and there. Let's take it as a common factor. What we're left with is a y from this term, a minus y squared from the second term, plus 3 sine y from the third term. Okay, once again, what did I do? Common factor, right? If I multiply back, I get into this step. All right, now we treat it as if there is x multiplied with something equals y squared. If we want to isolate x, we have to divide with this whole something, right? So divide both sides with this, or it's cleaner if you just write it x equals y squared divided by this whole thing. Okay, so once again, what did we manage to do? We managed to isolate x on its own on the left, and then on the right-hand side, you have a complicated function of y. But this is it. We are done. When you're asked solve for x, we mean exactly this. Rewrite x as just a function of y. Isolate x. Okay? Now, this one turned out to be simple because all powers of x were the first power. Sometimes you're not able to do this, especially if you have, powers of x like x squared and all that. But in this case, and practically in all the examples that you see in Calculus 1, you should be able to solve for x by following these steps.